Hey everyone, Happy New Year. This is Baseball Star and I'm back with another video. 2019 came to an end, so here I'm going to talk about the top 10 most disappointing players of the season. Sure, you'll have your own personal opinions after this video, so make sure to tell me all about it in the comment section down below and subscribe if you love baseball. At the number 10 spot is the outfielder Yasiel Puig. This year, Puig had a WAR of 1.3 with 24 home runs, a 267 average, and a 327 on-base percentage. In the 2018 regular season, Puig hit 23 home runs and had the same average of 267 and the same on-base percentage of 327. Back in 2013 and 2014, Yasiel Puig was one of the most anticipated young players in the game, and he really hasn't shown that potential, and now that his career is on a downfall, he's not getting any better. The number 9 spot, I got Andrew Benintendi of the Boston Red Sox. So this year, Benintendi had a WAR of 1.7 with 13 home runs, a 266 average, and a 343 on-base percentage, and those aren't real great numbers. Last year, his average was way higher with a 290 average. His on-base percentage was higher, 366, and he had 3 more home runs, coming in with 16. Last year, he played a big part in the World Series, and he was hitting in the top of the order, doing well, so this year has been a big disappointment for him. Hopefully, he can do better next year. Number 8 on my list, I've got Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. This year, he had a 3.1 WAR with 32 home runs, which isn't bad, but his average was bad with an average of 256. He had a 462 slugging percentage and a 334 on-base percentage. Now, if you look at those numbers aren't terrible, but remember, in previous years, he put up much better numbers. Last year, he had 35 home runs, a 297 average, and an on-base percentage of 367. Manny Machado has been to the All-Star game 4 times and has 2 Gold Gloves, so this is a pretty disappointing year, especially how the Padres paid $300 million to him. He was pretty much all they could talk about last offseason. At the number 7 spot, I got Jose Ramirez, and boy did he have a bad year. He hit 23 home runs with a 255 average and an on-base percentage of 327. And this was a horrible year compared to 2018 when he had 39 home runs, a 270 average, and a 387 on-base percentage. He's been really good in previous years. He's a 2-time All-Star and a 2-time Silver Slugger, so to have a down year like this has just been awful for him. Put Bryce Harper at the number 6 spot. Yup, it's gonna upset some people, but I'm gonna say this once. Bryce Harper is overrated. He has a 4.2 WAR, 35 home runs, a 260 average, and a 510 slugging percentage. Now, those aren't bad numbers, but think about what the Phillies are paying him. He signed one of the biggest contracts in MLB history last offseason, $330 million for 13 years. He's an MVP and a Rookie of the Year, a 6-time All-Star, and a Silver Slugger award. And the Phillies have paid so much money for him, a ridiculous amount. You've got to get at least an MVP caliber player, and he really has not been that this season. At number 5 is Matt Carpenter of the St. Louis Cardinals, and yes, he had a very disappointing year. He had a 0.8 WAR, 15 home runs, a 226 average, which is really bad, and an on-base percentage of 334, which isn't great either. I'm pretty sure basically everyone can agree that Matt Carpenter had a total down year this year. Last year, he had more than double the amount of home runs with 36. He also had a higher average of 257 and a higher on-base percentage of 374. So yeah, this year was a total step back for him. He had a much better year in 2018 than he did this year, and so there's some talk about replacing him, and so yeah, he's been pretty disappointing. Don't think I need to say much more. And so moving on to the 4th most disappointing player of the year, I got Joey Votto, first baseman of the Cincinnati Reds. Votto had a 1.6 WAR, which is pretty low. He had 15 home runs, a 261 average, and a 357 OPS, which is a below average year. In the 2018 regular season, he put up better numbers. He had a higher average with 284. He had 12 home runs and a 417 on-base percentage, which is significantly higher. This is Joey Votto we're talking about. All of these videos about top first baseman in a decade have come out. He has been amazing this decade, and then he has a total down year like this. I think he's really at the plummet of his career, and there's also some talk about replacing him. I get that he's a fan favorite, but quite frankly, if he has another year like this, I think that Cincinnati Reds totally should replace him. The third most disappointing player of the 2019 season is Robinson Cano of the Mets. Now, most of y'all are probably thinking, oh yeah, Robinson Cano is on the Mets, because he did go to the Mets with Edwin Diaz, who also has been a disappointment of the year. This 2019 regular season, his WAR was very low at .3. He had 13 home runs, a .256 average, and a .307 on base percentage. Last year, he had an average above 300 with an average of .303. He had a .374 on base percentage and 10 home runs. This is Robinson Cano we're talking about, guys. He's an 8-time All-Star, a 2-time Gold Glove winner, and a 5-time Silver Slugger. That's ridiculous. This year has just been a really rough year for him. He was a superstar in Seattle, and he has been a total bust for the Mets. The second most disappointing player of the year is going to be Travis Shaw of the Milwaukee Brewers. This year, Shaw had a negative WAR of negative .9. Oof. Boy, oh boy, that is bad. He had 7 home runs, a 157 average, and a 281 on base percentage. Last year, he was well off with 32 home runs, a 241 average, and a 345 on base percentage. Travis Shaw this year just plummeted his numbers. His numbers really suffered this year, and he just had an outright horrible season. Prior to this year, Travis Shaw was known mostly for his power, but this year, he only hit 7 home runs, and his average was in the toilets. And now, finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the most disappointing player of the 2019 season is gonna have to be Chris Davis of the Oakland Athletics. This 2019 season, Chris Davis had a WAR of negative .3. He only hit 23 home runs, which is half the amount of home runs he hit last year, and he had a 220 average with a 293 on base percentage, which is weak. And in the 2018 season, he was considered one of the best DHs in the game with 48 home runs, a 247 average, and a 326 on base percentage. Now, Davis has never been known for hitting for average, but he's definitely a power hitter, and this year, he just had a down year with 23 home runs. He was one of the best DHs, like I said, and he went from that to basically nothing. This year, Davis didn't contribute his power to the team, and other than power, there's pretty much nothing else Davis can really do for you. So Davis was pretty much useless for the A's this year. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my list of the top 10 most disappointing players of the 2019 regular season. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you liked it, and I'm sure you are all buzzing with comments and stuff right now, so make sure to leave that in the comment section down below for me. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye!